This started for me when I was in high school. My little sister, she got diagnosed with cancer. Wake up. And I was like, whoa, like, okay, like I'm waking up healthy every day. Like I need to have a greater purpose. Like I need to have a lasting impact. And I was like, her message is so powerful and it means so much to me. And I'm like, okay, let me share it. We made so many mistakes in terms of like how we even came to have the formula. That came from mistakes. Oh, well, this didn't work. Let's change something.
How many tries do you think you did until you got the right one?
How many tries? Oh my God.
People try to put us to down. Talking about my generation.
Welcome to the TLT Movement Podcast, a podcast for tomorrow's leaders today. Today we're here with Ibrahim Ghaddar. He is a friend that we met at the Miami Farmers Market.
Yes.
Our friend of the show, Stephen Lawrence, talked to you and instantly said, you got to be on the TLT
Yes.
podcast because how old are you?
24.
20. Hey, we're the same age.
That's great.
And you own your own honey business?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Show it.
Tell me. Yeah. Tell me all about how this honey differs from the honey that's been lasting thousands of years.
Right. So the honey itself, it's actually the way it was originally consumed from thousands of years ago, which is
Really?
in a raw and unfiltered form. So when you get the honey from the hive, nowadays these big companies are heating it and they're killing everything inside of it because honey has a little ecosystem of things in there, a lot of probiotics, prebiotics, things that are just very healthy for your body. And when you heat it, you can prolong the shelf life. So big companies want to kill everything in there.
It denatures it.
Exactly. All the heat destroys it. And that's around 97 degrees Celsius. Roughly, it begins to disrupt it.
I'm noticing instantly it's much more
Viscous.
liquidy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the viscosity is lower, and that has to do with the infusion. So I infuse it with lion's mane and cordyceps, which are two mushrooms from Eastern medicine that are making like big waves here.
Yeah, I've heard of lion's
Yeah.
mane. I haven't heard of cordyceps.
Yeah, they're big in the alternative medicine community. Lion's mane helps with articulation, memory, focus. It helps clear brain fog. There are studies on it that show it helps with anti-Alzheimer's and antidepressants.
Really?
Showing. It's not been proven yet, but those are still, because it helps promote NGF1, which is nerve growth factor, and that helps create new neural connections in the brain.
All right, you're talking neural connections. You're talking all this stuff. You're 24. I'm very interested to hear how you became an entrepreneur,
Right.
and how you had the courage to start this up.
So for me, the initial drive for it kind of began when I'm a personal trainer. That's something I do on the side. And I just really never liked the idea of working for someone else. It always just
I feel
bothered
you.
me.
Yeah.
And I've always felt like I've just known more than the people I've worked for. And it's just been a really frustrating feeling.
Yeah, that's tough.
And so I put my head down, and for a period of around I'd say a year and a half, 2 years, my best friend and I, we decided to just put our heads down, work our asses off, and put as much money away as we could for the intention of starting our own thing, so we could just, scale it and be on our own and not have to work for anyone, just for ourselves, and make that a reality.
When you were doing all this, did you kind of have an idea of what you were going to do, or is it no, not at all?
We said we're going to do something, and then it took us, I think, 4 to 5 months, maybe even half a year of brainstorming. And the gym I used to work at, it was a private gym, and it was for pretty high profile people, and I would work at 4:30 in the morning, 5 a.m. and
wow.
who would come in at 5 a.m. is CFOs, CEOs, people who want to work out before they go to the office.
Right.
And when I tell you, I threw every idea I had at them, and they ripped them all to pieces. But over the course of half a year or 4 months, the ideas got better and better and more concrete, and I learned from their feedback, and I took it to heart.
Cool.
And we began to shape it into an idea of a concept of what is something that would work, because a lot of people do things that don't work nowadays, and it's scary. It's a big risk. So we wanted to make sure we had a good idea.
Awesome. So I just read this book. It was called Built to Last. And one of the big concepts in this book is great companies that are built to withstand the CEO, withstand the test of time. They're 9 out of 10 times, I think actually 10 out of 10 times, weren't ever began with a good idea. It was always just we want to start a business. Here's the principles that the business is going to live by. And then the product just kind of comes out of that. So I think that's so cool that you were able to just know that you were wanting to start your own business and then be able to get into this. What other advice did you learn from these these CEO guys.
They taught me how to pick an idea apart and expose like the roots, and to determine if the roots were strong, if you will. Like I must have come up with 10 different ideas, 15 different ideas, and they would teach me how to constructively think and dissect something. That was the one like side of the coin. So is something a good idea or not? And that had to do with something that's called scalability.
Okay.
So what is the extent of the impact that this company could have, right? Is it only a small impact, or can we make a big impact? Because if you want to make money, you need to have a big impact. And the vision we're having here is to grow a community. That's why we're primarily an online business, but I just try and get out as the owner to meet people, which is why we're here today, which is great.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy making connections with people. I have a big enjoyment, and I get a nice feeling from connecting with people and hearing new stories and new perspectives, because to me, everything's learning experience. Everything.
Nice. What's an example of a small idea that you were able to pick apart and go, that you can't scale that?
Oh, okay. This is a pretty funny idea. We had this vision of doing like glamping.
Okay, so like glamorized camping.
Yeah, like really cute camping setup, for like, so girls would come too and they'd take their photos and all that. It'd be a cute little thing, but we wanted to do it on like a mountain range. But the thing is, we thought that was a fantastic idea. We had the coolest name, everything. We're like, oh, this is great. And I talked to one of the guys at the gym, and the first thing he told me was, well, how are you going to maintain it if you live in Florida? And I looked at him and I was like, that's a great question. That was just an example. So that immediately got picked to pieces. And that was one of our first ideas.
And so you land on mushroom infused raw honey.
Yes.
What about this did you see could be a scalable big idea?
I've always taken the mushrooms myself. I've always consumed them, my business partner and I, both of us, and we love them. We love the health benefits. We preach them to our friends. I've been taking them for years, and I just found it a little boring that it was always a pill or a powder,
Yeah.
I think it got pretty innovative when they started putting it in coffees and things of that nature. There are some brands
seen
that do that.
Yeah.
And the gummies, I thought gummies were boring too. So I was like, all right, what is a good medium to take these mushrooms? And I studied biochemistry, and I know how to do infusions and how things work in that sense, like the chemical nature of things.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, like what's a cool medium? And it was actually my business partner who said, well, people eat honey every day, and that's a pretty healthy symbol. Do you think you could do that? And I said, well, there's one way to find out. Let's see if we can make it happen. And then we developed it over the past year. We tested different kinds of honey, different forms of mushrooms, the same two mushrooms, but different forms. And we kind of played with the concentrations and all of that, making sure we preserve the integrity of the honey, because the most important thing is that it's raw, unfiltered honey, because we only want the best, and we only source the best ingredients for this whole project from A to Z in all manners.
So you're doing this in like a lab?
Yeah.
Wow.
We got the lab grade equipment. We have a setup, everything. It's super sanitary. I used to work in a lab.
Really?
For 2 years, yeah.
What did you do?
I did, I'm trying to think of how to explain this to you. So we did something called transformation and recombination, where
it's all coming together for me now.
We would get yeast, and we would in everybody's genome there are certain coding sequences that don't code for anything, and you can splice them out with like a technique, I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay.
And when you splice it out, you can put something in that can change the proteins that are shown from that yeast.
And this is it's in yeast.
Yes,
okay.
we were working in yeast.
Okay, I see.
And you would have to like put it in the fridge, freeze it, make sure it like the transformation stuck, spin it, centrifuge it, all that stuff. So I've been in a lab, so I know my way around one, and it's very complicated stuff. Like you don't even see what you're using. It's like the tiniest instruments, the tiniest amounts, like nanograms. Like,
oh, that's fascinating.
We're getting small here, like really small.
Nanograms.
I remember I held on to something with like a dropper and or a pair of tweezers, and I couldn't even see. I'm like, what am I holding? Like, and I was worried, like, if I let go, did I drop it? Did I not drop it? I literally cannot see it. Like, and that was an experience, but I loved it so much. It was with Dr. Richard Myers. He's a professor at University of Miami, and he's a geneticist. Amazing guy.
Cool.
My best teacher from college.
Shout out.
Yeah. Shout out Rick Myers. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Incredible guy, incredible story, and he's probably the smartest person I met in my life.
Wow.
And the most
awesome.
inspirational.
Really?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, we got to get him on the podcast next.
That would be a crazy podcast if you get him on. That guy,
we should get you both on.
yeah.
Yeah, because you'll be able to speak his language. I don't know if I'll be able to do that.
No, we used to sit. I remember when I first came in to work in the lab. It was part of the major. The biochem major is research based at So I would have to work in a lab, and I chose his lab because I liked him, but it was difficult. And he sent me some papers to read. And he's like, "Make sure you read these, then let's have a little discussion about it." And I showed up, and I don't think I answered a single question. I was like, I don't have the answers, and I felt so stupid. But he has this like knack, which I think is important for a teacher or a mentor to have. It's key, honestly, to not just feed you the answer, but to navigate you to the answer based on things you know. Because if I couldn't answer let's say 1 plus 2, he was like, well, you know what 1 plus 1 is, don't you? So just add one more to that. It's
Right.
that kind of thought process where he guides me through, but we're talking biochem here.
Right.
So he would guide me through the mechanisms. And he's like, well, if you know what like this does, what happens after? Like think it through logically. And he would guide me step by step by step. And must have been like over an hour. I was exhausted, man. My mind was fried by the end of that conversation.
Wow.
Dude, you think so hard and you're like on the spot, just you and him in like an office. And I'm like, oh my God, like I sound like an idiot. And you just have to like put it all together. And
Dude, that's great.
No, it was a great experience though. I love him so much. He's like such a great guy.
How is that form of mentoring and teaching somebody how to think like that critically? How is that infused into your mushroom business?
I see what you're doing there. I like that. So for us, I get asked a lot of questions. I think I'll take it from an education standpoint. I get asked a lot of questions. People don't know what the mushrooms are. They don't know much about pasteurized honey, which is like the kind that's heat nuked, and raw unfiltered honey. People don't know about all those things. They'll come up to me at the stand. What are you selling? I say raw, unfiltered, mushroom infused honey. They stare like, what? And so I'm like, all right, do you know what honey is? Most of them say yes.
I would hope.
And then I'll tell them like, well, most of the honey you've been buying in the stores is pasteurized. It doesn't say the word raw and filtered on it. They're like, yeah. So I'll say, okay, well, we know that raw means something that's untouched, and unfiltered means it's not adulterated at all. It's not put through any filters or strainers. So raw and unfiltered honey is just honey that's come straight from the hive, not put through any kind of sifting or anything, because there's something called procellus in the honey, like little microscopic pieces, little black dots. You can even see them in this bottle if you look hard enough. You'll find them at the top, your best bet.
Oh, yeah? I see bubbles and stuff.
Bubbles, that's crystallized honey at the top, like little crystals.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I can kind of see it in the light here.
It's you got to have like an eye and catch it, but there's you may find little black dots. But to get back to the topic, I'll tell people that like, well, you know it's raw and it's unfiltered, and this is what it means. All right, and then I'll go to the mushrooms. Are you familiar with these two mushrooms? They'll say no, and I'm like, all right, well, they come from Eastern medicine. Same way I introduced them just now.
Yeah.
They're good for memory, articulation. Cordyceps is good for energy. Has a really useful, what's it called? Compound called cordycepin. It's really healthy for you. And
do you find that this way of
down.
explaining it and to break it down like that, do you find that to be a good sales method, or more of just they understand it after?
It's like an elevator pitch with an educational basis. Even when I personally train people, like I have a style. Everybody has styles of doing things. My style is an educational standpoint. Like I know anatomy very well. And so I train a lot of people who are like just getting to the gym. Like their moms will send them like 15, 16 years old. They don't know what's going on. So I'm all right. Do you know how the bicep moves? They're like, well, no. I'm like, well, move it. Like, well, what are you doing? It's like, oh, I'm flexing my elbow. All right. So the bicep works to elbow flexion. And so as I'll train them, I'll explain the anatomy of the joints and the body and how everything moves. So not only do they benefit from the training, they also learn how their own body's moving. And I think once you learn that, you can troubleshoot your own problems. You can. That's good. It increases the immersion. I love immersion. I like getting immersed into something. I'm not a person who dwells on the surface. I like to cut deep, get, nitty gritty, figure out like how everything's working. All right, well let's cut deep right into the purpose of this business. Okay. I sent you an email that has a little bit of a harm on it. Yes. You were inspired by an event. Yes. That took place. Yes. That shifted your life. Let's go into that. Let's go deep. What got you so into the health world and wanting the health benefits of what's in this to be your business, your life? Why health and wellness? Okay. So This started for me when I was in high school. My little sister, she got diagnosed with cancer. She had a brain tumor, kind of came out of nowhere. Nobody expected it, and she was sick for a good amount of years. And it was more towards the end, which is, I'd say this is about 2 years ago. She passed 2 years ago. So this is around 2 years ago when she was on her last legs, kind of, is when it began to hit, because we began having like talks about like, sad stuff. And like, so I used to take her to the hospital down in Miami. I would drive her down from Boca sometimes. I'd stay in the hospital bed for a week at a time, sleeping on the couch, Go to my friend's house. I had friends down there, luckily. Go down, crash at their place, or, spend time with them, go back to her, etc. Feed her, take care of her, And it was when, very vividly, like one of her, last time I saw her was about 3 to 4 days before she passed. And I took her down, and she was at the hospital, and I could only stay for a night because I had work the next morning. And so I went down that night, and she was all situated, and she began just fully like opening up to me about like death and everything. And I'm like, wow, like we've had conversations, but never like that. And she told me like if I could tell the world one thing, if I could advise people I love for like to do one thing, is to do not take your health for granted. It is to live every day like you're healthy. So knowing that you're healthy, don't waste any day is the gist of what she told me. And it was really powerful, and it hit me deep, 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 because when I graduated from college, this was about 2 years ago, I was all over the place. Like I didn't really know what I wanted. I was pre-med. I stopped, and I was like, okay, I want to do physical therapy. So I went back to school, did a couple classes, started getting a PT certificate. So I began training. And then I decided I didn't want to do physical therapy, and I was just all over the place, I never really had anything that called me. Also the reason why I went to being an entrepreneur. I never had like a calling. Never felt my soul pull in one direction. And so her words were the first kind of slap to the face, like bucket of cold water to the face when you're sleeping, like wake up. And I was like, whoa, like, okay, like I'm waking up healthy every day. Like I need to have a greater purpose. Like I need to have a lasting impact. And I was like, her message is so powerful and it means so much to me that I'm like, okay, let me share it. And I spoke these words at like her funeral. I got up and I spoke these words and I mentioned all that. We had a service and I said the same thing I'm telling you right now, that mantra she gave me. And I lived by that. And I took that fuel. That was the initial spark where I told my friend, like, dude, like we got to figure out something to do. We need to improve our quality of our lives. We need to be financially free. We need to begin creating something to elevate ourselves and free us. And also, while being beneficial, I know a lot of companies, a lot of ideas harm the user.
Totally.
They might use carcinogens, they might put stuff in their food that's not supposed to be there. And besides the food industry, different industries in general.
But specifically the food industry is egregious.
Yes. And there's a big public health awakening towards what goes in our bodies. People are waking up. There's a lot of like TikTok has a big role for that too. And like just post-COVID, or I'd say mid-COVID, people began to be like, what the hell is going on?
I find it very intriguing that you were in pre-med, you were talking about being in a lab, you're obviously an intelligent young man. Yeah, and all that's going into the medical field, and you've, shifted 180 to go into a holistic health approach.
Yeah, and it keeps the principles low. I've always enjoyed STEM because I found it challenging. I love challenges. That's why I like doing biochem.
Okay.
When I went to college, I didn't even know what I wanted to major in. I had no clue.
Really?
No idea. I was a business major my first year. I was like, I don't know. I'll just do finance. I'll figure it out, right? Sure. And then my dad studied biochem. He's a PhD. My older brother's he just finished his third year of med school. And I was like, all right, well, and he did biochem. So I'm like, all right, man, if they're both doing it, they're both pretty successful. I might as well do this too, right?
Sure.
And so I did it, and I did enjoy it, but I've always been like a guy who walks a zigzag. People walk a straight path. I walk a zigzag path is what it feels like to me. So I'm just all over the place all the time.
Do you think that's a good thing as an entrepreneur?
Amazing. I think it's important. Like I think if you're
thank God, dude.
If you're so rigid, you won't get influenced by things. And I'm kind of like a sheet in the wind. When you hang your laundry and the wind blows on them and they kind of move around. That's kind of how I am.
Kind of like a mic on a mic stand when it gets tapped.
Just like that. Yeah. It wobbles, but it keeps its rigidity.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been noticing this too, how Gen Z is kind of waking up to this reality that health and wellness, it doesn't have to just be in the form of a pill. It can also be holistic, Eastern type practices. I think this is a very unique approach. My parents are in the health industry, wellness and supplementation and all this. And I've been noticing a trend this past couple of years, the different form factors that like B supplements or D or immunity, whatever it is, they're now coming in the form of, as you said, gummies or drinks or a little chewable something or something that tastes good. I haven't quite seen anything infused with raw unfiltered honey. I think this is a very interesting. Are you actually?
Yeah.
That is so intriguing. It seems like a no-brainer almost. I mean, I don't eat honey every day, but I would if I knew it was supplement like this. This is great.
You know what I like about it? That it's versatile. Like I could put it on my toast, mix it with my yogurt. That's how I take it personally. Yeah, yogurt is just not sweet and it kills me. So I put the serving size, a tablespoon, into my yogurt, mix it all up, put some berries on top, and I'm great.
It's the bomb. Some
put
nuts,
it in your shake. Yeah.
Some chia seeds, some pumpkin seeds.
Beautiful.
Ooh, that's a good bowl of yogurt.
Yes, it is. You could put it in your shake. You could make a sandwich out of it because the viscosity got lowered when we infused it.
Right.
It's nice. It spreads super nice.
Yeah, this is very cool. Nectar Vigor, is that the
Nectar Vigor? Yeah.
What made you decide to choose that name?
Oh, I was at a Discord call with my business partner, and we were just thinking like, well, what do we name it? You know, and then we're like, Nectar. All right, Nectar. And then Vigor. Like, Vigor is like vitality. It's like power. It's just energy. We were like, well, we want this to do that. Let's just call it Nectar Vigor. He was like, what do you think? and I was like, okay, I think that's a great idea. Let's just roll with it. It's good. I like it.
I like it. How did you get to the point? So you're mixing this stuff yourself. Do you mix it all yourself?
Everything from A to Z. I do the infusion. I monitor the temperature, make sure it stays raw.
Right.
I make sure everything is perfect. And then we bottle it. As soon as we're done, we cool it, we bottle it, and we use an induction sealer to seal it, keep it clean. And I know people have talked to me about the plastic bottle, but we cool it, and it's stored in a climate-controlled unit. So people worry about microplastics.
Right.
Very valid.
100%.
But when we fill the honey up, the bottles are not hot at all, and they're placed in a cooled unit. So there's no fear for microplastics.
How about the traveling and all this stuff? I mean, if you're going to scale this thing, it's going to be on trucks. It's going to get out of your control. How much have you looked into how much more expensive it would be to make a glass
It's
one?
funny you say that. We have samples. We've already picked out a sample for a glass jar.
Really?
And we have a bulk order coming.
Very nice. Yeah, I think
glass is on the way in the next month.
For your audience, I think that a glass would definitely.
We just had some. We initially were selling this in mason jars, just to friends and family. Like, hey, who wants to support us? Like, who wants a mason jar? People bought it up, and like we had order fulfillment issues with honey breaking on the way.
Oh, with the glass.
Yep. People would break a few bottles. That creates fulfillment issues. You got to send them another one. And then so we said, why not just do plastic?
You know, and that makes sense. Not something that I would think about.
That's why we did it. Good. But, you know, it's not like we thought about it before. We thought about it like in the moment because that's how you learn. Like, don't think we got into this having the entire roadmap, all the logistics perfectly planned out. We made so many mistakes in terms of like how we even came to have the formula. That came from mistakes. Like, oh, well, this didn't work. Let's change something.
How many tries do you think you did until you got the right one?
How many tries? Oh my God. We had over 11 types of honey. We had, dude.
There's 11 types of honey?
There's so much more than 11 in general. And each honey has like a different viscosity, different flavor profile. And
is it like regional? Is it the plants is it like flower honey?
It's what the bee gets the pollen from. So we use wildflower. So it's a collection of wild flowers, right? But you have Florida specialized in orange blossom honey.
Does it taste kind of like oranges?
I've heard it's citrusy. I haven't tried it, but I've heard it's citrusy. But we didn't want something that had like a distinct flavor. We wanted something more neutral.
Sure. Would you ever consider doing
like oranges?
Yeah, true.
What do you do?
Would you ever consider
changing the type of honey?
No. As you expand, maybe having different flavor.
Look, I'm open to anything, but my answer at the moment will be I'm unsure, leading towards no. I'll tell you why. Okay. Because wildflowers change with every season. So
that's a good thing?
Each batch we do, if it's in a different season, it'll it'll taste different by like, I'd say 5%, 10%, like maybe more. That's just a ballpark number I threw at you, because wildflowers is the collection of what's in the field. So with the different seasons, different things are blooming.
Dang, I've kind of heard this before. Like I've heard that bees that get their pollen from peaches, it tastes a little peachy.
Yep.
I've heard that before.
Yep.
Until you explain this, I didn't quite understand. I think this could be a really cool marketing initiative. I mean, is it written anywhere on here like that, like how that works and how the different flavors and all that stuff? I mean, that to me is very interesting.
No, but we have an FAQ on our website.
Okay.
Which this QR code takes you to the website.
Nice.
Socials, QR code. Socials. The website where we do free shipping all over the U.S. Research papers.
We'll pop that up on the screen right here.
Yes. And it's a nice little link tree.
So you're looking for scalability. You want to scale this thing beyond, I imagine, if you want to go beyond and put it into stores nationwide, even go in multiple countries, you're going to have to eventually stop making all this on your own.
100%. At that point, you outsource it.
Right. Do you have a plan as far as how that will look to get to that next stage where...
We know the... Sorry.
That's okay.
We know the logistics of it. We know how to make it happen and what it would entail. Because when we first started, we actually contacted some people who do that, where you just ship your ingredients to them and you give them your recipe. They could do it for you. And we got on the phone with the guy, and this was like another like, oh my God moment, where it's like, okay, so I called the guy and I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm an entrepreneur. We have a startup, yada, yada. I gave him the basic rundown. This was before this even existed.
Right.
This was non-existent. This was like an infant of an idea.
Did you have a patent or anything, or were you just giving this guy all your ideas?
We did have a patent.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
And we signed documents and all that. And then I gave him the deal, what it was, and I'm like, what's your minimum order quantity? Well, no, sorry. He asked me, how many do you want to make? And I'm like, like 200. I just threw him a number, and he laughed on the phone. He laughed me off the phone, and he said, this isn't even enough for me to consider turning the lights on in here. I was like, huh? And so I remember, and I told him, well, let me tell you something before I hang up here. I told him, you will be hearing from me again soon.
All right. And how long ago was that?
This was how long has it been? Probably 7 or 8 months.
That's not... time is still soon.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Soon is a relative term,
Yes, it
There's
is.
no fun. I want to stretch that soon out. But at some point, I'm going to call and be like, hey, I want a few thousand ready.
Sure.
And then
what are sales
take it
looking like?
seriously.
What are sales looking like right now?
Sales looking good. We launched a little over a month ago, like the official launch.
Okay.
And we have done a little over 300 units.
Pretty good.
Yes.
Are you guys profitable or no?
Well, that takes time.
Of course.
That takes time, and
I don't know how much it costs to infuse the honey. I don't know how much. I don't know how much all this is.
yeah, well, that part's proprietary. But
I like this.
Yeah.
You're getting good.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, I've learned a lot of the ropes.
Yeah. Hey, just out of curiosity, what's the exact ingredients?
Yeah, right. What is the name of Dude, you haven't asked that. And
What?
Just those exact questions.
Really?
Like, the nitty gritty. I'm like, you're going way too deep.
Right.
Let's pull it back a notch and let's like go up a level here, But I can't reveal that, but I'll tell you, we get our honey from Michigan.
Okay.
Yes.
Any particular reason?
The taste,
Really?
because we had the vision. So scalability, I'll tie it back in here. Scalability with a supplement like this is the ultimate scalability is the online markets, because you have access to the whole United States. And the majority of people do their shopping off Amazon, TikTok shop, which we're listed on, Instagram shop, we're on that as well.
What have you seen the best success from?
Sales?
Yeah.
At the moment, the boots on approach, like boots on the ground, what I'm doing, going to markets.
How about click-through rate?
Click-through rate?
Yeah, like on TikTok or Instagram or
that takes time.
People that don't necessarily buy it, but at least click on it.
Yeah. We get a lot of clicks. We get a lot of views. And the conversion rate, it's always going to be low for stuff like that.
Of course.
But we have a marketing strategy that we're employing, and that will hopefully increase those numbers.
Cool. What's the current marketing?
Well, the marketing at the moment has come from posts and content filmed when I go to these events. Like I'll tell you today, I was just at a F45. It's Mark Wahlberg's like a functional training like gym. They do classes. And I had a connection with one of the guys that that teaches the classes there. And I messaged him and we ended up going and setting up a table in the class. And we sold some bottles of honey.
Nice.
And we recorded content. And then we used that to show that we have a presence. And we have on Instagram on our highlights, we have an events tab. Shows where we've been, what we're doing.
Have you ever, because you're so good at educating and passionate about that aspect, have you ever thought about maybe doing like a marketing series where you don't even necessarily shout out the brand at the end? I see this all the time on marketing. They'll just give the audience some info and it will be so valuable that it will kind of blow up, and then people will find the product later just to kind of build the brand up. Have you ever considered that?
I have not considered that.
Because I think a series about how the different bees getting the pollen from the wildflowers versus the peaches versus the oranges in different states, all this, I would stay on that if I was scrolling through. Like, I find that quite interesting.
What do they call that now? Micro learning, is it called? And
I'm sure.
Like, have you heard of doom scrolling?
Oh, yeah.
When you just go?
Yeah.
I've seen so many ads of people do like, don't doom scroll, like micro learn instead. And I'm like, I mean, that's cool, but I don't know.
I don't know if it works,
I
but
don't know if it works, but it's a good idea.
I know a lot when me and my buds get around, we're always talking like, oh, did you hear this? And it's just the micro learning that we've infused throughout the week. We're just kind of spewing out.
Just spewing out the fun facts.
Just facts, yeah. Just like, I don't know. I don't know if it's good for the brain or not.
I think it's good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'll do a little brief tangent, just a little personal. I know there's a guy that I used to watch. So I like being outdoors. There's a guy called Outdoor Boys. Have you heard of him?
I don't think I've heard of Outdoor Boys.
He's this like dad that does hardcore camping, and his videos only show up on my phone at like past 1 a.m. on TikTok. So as I'm laying in bed doing a little scroll, his stuff pops up, and I enjoyed it, and I learned a lot about survival. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So that's a little niche example.
I wonder how many people have been in the woods and been like, oh my gosh, a bear, I got to do what I learned on TikTok.
Yeah, right. I feel like they just freeze.
Right.
Bears are terrifying. People don't understand how lethal and how dangerous bears are. They are like...
Yeah, they'll tear you shreds.
Bears are crazy.
But you know what bears also love?
What?
Honey.
They do love honey. So
I bet they would get a kick out of this.
If you keep a bottle on you, you throw it at them like a grenade. He probably bite into it, he tastes it.
Like, man, this is some good honey. Is this raw and unfiltered?
Yeah. Oh, like, great.
Yeah. Man, I was bear depressed, and now I'm feeling a little better.
Yeah, the last time he tried getting that, he got stung a bunch. So he's like, oh, for free? Great. You know?
I wonder if that's a real thing, if they actually like it, or if that's just Winnie the Pooh kind of
I don't know.
Told us all that.
I don't know. I've never seen a video. I think I've seen one video of a bear going at it with the bees trying to get their stuff, but he's pretty unfazed. He sets his mind to it. He's just going to go for it, you know?
Kind of like you in business.
Yes, I'm the bear. Yes, I'm the bear.
Oh, I guess this show's kind of got off the rails a little bit. Let's take a drink.
Yeah. I'm like Winnie the Pooh.
Pull it up. It was just talking about your sister, leadership development.
Yeah. Like that was like my wake up call, honestly. And from there, I was like, all right, like I got to make something happen here. And then I talked to my buddy, and we created this idea. And then through the troubleshooting and through, you know, you do this, I'll do this, and then it was just the two of us. And we didn't hire a single person to help with anything. We kept it 100% us from A to Z. Like if you don't know how to do it, learn how to do it.
Right. And you would say that articulates into every business, or what?
It's important. I know a lot of people from the get-go, they come in with a lot of money. They outsource everything, and they don't know jack about their own business.
Right.
And I think when you take the steps from, like the baby steps, like you learn how to design the logo. We did that ourselves in like...
It's a little gnome.
Little gnome. Yeah. We pulled up like... I don't know why I'm blanking on the name. It's like an app where you design stuff, and I can't remember the name.
Canva?
Thank you.
Canva's good.
Yeah.
Shout out Canva. That's how we make our thumbnails.
Yeah. We just took a lot of inspo from the Canva. We started pulling these things like, all right, let's give the gnome like a honey stick. Let's put some bees in there. Let's put some grass. And then you just kind of like
I like it.
put it together like, hey, this looks pretty good.
What are some testimonials that you've heard from people that are taking this?
Oh, I haven't heard a single negative thing.
What are some positive things?
All the positive. I had a lady tell me she had a post-COVID brain fog, and that this actually cleared it up. She took it every day, and she coupled it with lifestyle changes, like the holistic lifestyle, and it cleared up her brain fog. And when I promote it with take it, but also do some lifestyle changes.
Of course.
Take it with intention of improving an aspect of your life, and as you consume it, it will kind of respond to you, and it will help you. It will push you in that positive direction. One of my close friends, he began taking it, and it gave him a lot of drive and motivation to kind of like get up and just push again, give him a second wind. And he's been extremely productive and extremely successful since he started this. And he thanked us. He was like, hey, like, this just like gave me a second wind. I feel incredible. Like, I'm working like harder than I've ever worked before. And, hearing that makes me happy. It's what my sister told me,
Right.
People take advantage of their good health, and they, put one foot in front of the other, and they're going to march forward and do something positive and beneficial.
That's so good.
For themselves or for others.
That's really cool that the testimonials, it's less like, oh, I stopped having some discomfort in my arm. And it's more of this lifestyle change, of this philosophy, of this, you said, I think you used the word intention or something. Like,
yes,
like
you take it with intention. Like,
right.
So it's not just like an empty thing, like a pill I'm putting in. Like, I'm eating this honey, it's gonna revitalize me, it's gonna boost me up. Yeah, and we
love that.
Yeah, and we use Google reviews. I know a lot of companies put like a anecdotal from like Josh K about how this honey has changed my life, or this supplement has,
Sure.
And you don't even know who that is.
Right.
It could just be completely made up. You have no idea. We use Google reviews, so it's legitimate, and we show all the reviews. But we haven't had anything below 5 stars, or over 40 reviews.
Wow, that's really, really
People
awesome.
like
40
it.
reviews.
People like it, and I'll tell you why. Because it's made with good intentions. It's made with love, and it's a clean, healthy product. Crazy, right? You would think people have been asking for it, and you finally do it,
Right.
And it's a hit.
Man, I feel like your way of thinking aligns with the TLT movement so much. I mean, we are all about educating the youth on EQ, the emotional intelligence, and just about leadership development skills, which I think overall are just mind and life skills.
No, dude, you don't understand. We did when we first launched the socials. Oh, dude, I was told, hey, do an intro video where you just introduce yourself and you explain what we're doing. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty straightforward. Set up my tripod. I sat down. I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? Blah, blah, blah. Messed it up. Oh, I sat down. Hey, what's up, guys? I messed it up. I was swearing. My dad came out of his room. He was like, what is going on? I'm like, I cannot film this. And he would stand in front of the camera and say, all right, look at me. Don't be nervous. I couldn't do it.
Really?
I couldn't do it. I could not do it at all.
And look at you now.
No, honestly, I think it's because I'm looking at you.
Yeah, sure.
Like it's working great because I'm not looking there. But I struggled so much with that first video, and then from that moment, I knew it was a weakness of mine. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm terrible on camera. And I'm like, okay, we need to just relax a little, And throughout the process of doing content, I've been forced in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And now I'm comfortable speaking my mind, and I kind of keep the train on the tracks, train on the rails. I don't get derailed often, but in the beginning, dude, I would derail so often.
Dude, that's so awesome. That's something that I've talked about at TLT for years. Is when you get out of your comfort zone, your comfort zone expands.
Yep.
And then you go out of it again, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger, and you keep acquiring more skills. I think in this day and age, especially if you're Gen Z, you got to know how to be on camera.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like marketing is just being a brand at this point, and kind of having influence in that way. That
100%.
is a form of currency in its own right.
Yeah.
And it's going to sell a lot more of these because people can hear all day how awesome it is, but until they trust you, that when you say how awesome it is, they won't know to even want to try it.
I'll tell them I don't drink coffee anymore. I started my day at like 5:30 a.m. today. I've got one shot all the way to here. I had 2 tablespoons of that.
Nice.
Great, dude. Fired up. I don't need coffee anymore. I just go.
I got to get some after this.
Yeah.
How much is this?
This is for you to keep.
Really?
Yes.
This is a gift?
100%.
How much is this, though?
This is 30.
Only $30?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
No, it's not bad.
I was
it's-
expecting a lot more.
Nah, it's competitive pricing.
Dang, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
man.
the mushrooms are triple extracted. Most companies do a double extraction. We use an ultrasonic filter that hits it with sound waves and it sheds terpenes that are bioavailable.
Get out of
So
town.
we do an extra step. It's important, man.
Dude, that's really cool.
So I wasn't kidding when I said we go above and beyond. And like this part right here, you can even see it. This is this honey's crystallized. There's not a lot. It looks like there is, but it's just a little film around the edges, but it's crystallized.
I assume that this was kind of like the lion's mane down here, but
No. The mushrooms are evenly dispersed throughout the whole
cool.
thing.
All right.
This is just crystallized honey. So what we have on our label is that if you want to access this part, it's really not a lot. You can warm up some water and just put it in some warm water, not hot, warm, and after maybe 30 seconds, it's back to this kind of honey at the top.
Pretty good.
Or you can cut the bottle in half. I mean, I don't advise that, but I do it.
That's what I was thinking about doing until you said
I cut the bottle in half. I get a spoon, I scrape it out, and you can taste the sugar crystals in the honey. It is so delicious. It's better than the honey. The crystallized part is delicious. Yeah. And we thought of a cool little change here. It's not that big of a deal, but you know when your honey gets low, it kind of comes out slow. We made the cap flat so you could put it upside down. We thought we were so smart doing that.
That's a good idea. It's a good idea. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, they all have like a little tip on it.
Yeah, and
like,
you can't put it upside down. And I always thought it was the worst idea. Like, why are we not making the cap flat? Like, come on, guys. Like, come on.
It's the entrepreneur thinking ahead.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good, man. Hey, I just gotta say, I think you align with the TLT vision so much, the way that you've been able to traverse this new entrepreneur
That's great
endeavor, just the way that you're going about all this. I think this episode's been very, very educational. If you could say anything to your younger self, or maybe someone that's watching this that is a teenager that might still be living with their parents, is still in school, but knows they want to grow up to start a business, what would be some advice?
You got to work for someone else for a little bit before you do that, because you got to learn from someone. So work for someone, build a good relationship with them, a personal one, and then learn from them. My last workplace, that was the closest person I've been to who was like a boss to me. And he would, should I get closer?
Sure.
That's good. And he would, I used to go to his office every morning, hang out with him before I trained any clients. Him and I would just hang out, just talk about stuff. And he had an incredible story. I don't know if I should share it, but it'll be personal to him, so I won't. But
okay,
dude was incredible, motivational, inspirational, followed his heart and his dreams from day one, and he became a multimillionaire doing that.
Nice.
Yeah, very successful, down-to-earth guy as well, very humble too. And he followed his heart, which I believe in. You know,
what does that mean to you?
Go with your gut, follow instinct, follow passion. And it's crazy to say because my dad teases me a lot for it. I'll follow passion over my brain, over logic. And that's landed me in hot water.
I can imagine.
Like a good few times, but you come out of that learning. And I think that's the key to life is like, don't be so sheltered. Like, don't be so like push the boundaries, like explore, learn. And I think that's what gives life meaning. It's what you make of it.
That's very good.
You know, work for someone, build a relationship, learn. Like this guy helped refine my thinking as well in terms of the idea. He taught me philosophy. I was big into philosophy. It helped me cope with my sister, like Stoicism mainly. And I got into Taoism, Buddhism, all that. He would teach me Buddhism for almost an hour. Then I would go train him. He was the owner. I go and train him, and we'd talk about Buddhism the whole time I was training him.
Wow.
Philosophy, like the Eightfold Path, like everything, like dukkha, it's like the pain of attachment, things like that. And we would just go into it. And I loved it. It really helped like ground me, bring me down to earth.
What advice would you give to somebody that doesn't know how to find a mentor like that?
So you might not find one. That's totally normal. But luckily for us, we live in a day and age where there's millions of resources online. And a teenager they may meet a mentor that just inspires them. I think everybody at all stages of life has somebody who inspires them. for different reasons maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But as a young adult, I think a boss or a, you know, parent, that's an excellent role model or figure to follow. But the internet exists. So if you don't have, I think everybody is dealt a hand and you need to play your hand to your best ability. And the hand I was dealt, you know, I'm here now. So I'm happy. And I never thought I'd come this far. I never thought I'd be here today. And I've kind of just rolled with it. I was like, all right, whatever happens, happens. I'm here for it. I'm going to work and push and, you know, try to make my dreams come true. But who I meet, what happens, it's all wild card. It's all a toss up.
Right. And once you found this person, let's say you found them in real life or online, what would you think is the best way to approach them, to learn from them? Like what? Obviously, you ask them questions and you listen and all this. Do you have anything beyond that?
I feel like at some point you have to open up to them about your personal struggles. When you make that decision is entirely up to you. People have different comfort levels. Online, I would just send someone an email. Or I don't think you necessarily interact with your online role models. You could just take notes of things you like, clip certain things, bookmark certain videos. Like I like Alan Watts.
Yes.
He's not live anymore, but I would always go on YouTube, put in like learning to let go, Alan Watts. It's like a 50-minute video. Sure, I put it on. And I'd scroll through the comments, read it, you know, annotate, take notes. There's someone called Andrew Huberman.
Of course.
Huberman,
Dr. Andrew Huberman, he's great.
Yeah, he's fantastic. One of my favorite people.
Alan Watts have you ever seen the channel After School?
After School?
After School. It's school with a K.
I have not.
They like animate and they have a couple of Alan Watts animations.
I'll watch it tonight.
It's so good.
I'll watch it tonight.
Yeah. Sweet, man. All right. Well, Ibrahim, thank you so much for coming on the show. You have been very inspiring, educational. For a young man, you're bright, and I can't wait to see where Nectar Vigor takes you and where it goes.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me.
We're going to link it down in the description below. Is there anything else that you would like to shout out?
Ooh.
Like social media or something like that?
Our socials, Nectar Vigor. It's just no spaces. Those are the socials. Get a bottle, try a bottle, leave a review. We do a 2-week, no questions asked, money back guarantee.
Goodness gracious.
Because
$30 and money back guarantee?
Of course, because I know it's going to be a hit. I have complete faith in it. It's sealed.
I got to try this, dude.
Yeah, do it.
I got to try this.
You got to peel that off and you're good to go.
Oh, man. Yeah, this is nice and sealed, actually.
Of course, that's quality control.
Oh, dude. This is better than most store seals. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, we use an induction sealer. So it's...
Dude, this is hardcore. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's airtight, man. It's good.
Airtight. All right. Time for the tester. All right, so we're gonna link all that down below. The QR code's up on screen right now.
Yes.
We got the website in the link tree with this QR
Beautiful.
code. And got the Instagram, got the product.
Everything.
Where would you prefer they buy it? Amazon?
We're not on Amazon yet. That's on the roadmap.
All right, cool.
The website, because it helps us track data analytics, all that stuff.
Tastes like honey.
Smooth, right?
Very smooth.
And you can't even taste the mushrooms.
Not at all.
Yeah.
That's very good. I like that a lot.
Yes.
Wow.
We have toiled a lot to make this a reality, and I'm happy that it's here. And I'm happy to get to share it with people. Yeah.
Dude, my brain's unlocked right now, dude.
That's it.
Wow, that's awesome.
He's ascended.
I feel it already. Whoa, the lion's mane is kicking in.
Yeah, third eye's open now, man.
No, this is awesome. I cannot wait to try this. So 2 tablespoons a day. How long should this last me?
So this lasts roughly a month. Depends on what you take. 2 tablespoons won't last you a month. 1 will. So it'll probably last you 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how hefty you fill that tablespoon up.
Thank you again for being on the show.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the TLT Movement Podcast. If you liked what you heard, maybe it will bring somebody else in your life value too. So please share with a friend, subscribe to our YouTube, and comment and let us know what you think. Our podcast is available on Spotify and Apple, and we would very much appreciate a 5-star review. Visit our site, tltmovement.com.